I like to think of innovation as a multiplication of two things. In fact, if you catch hold of somebody on the street and ask that person, what do they think about innovation? Typically, they equate innovation with creativity. Innovation has nothing to do with creativity. Innovation is about commercializing creativity. Therefore, innovation consists of two components: creativity, which is all about ideas, and then your ability to execute the idea, your ability to take the idea and make it into a scaled up business. So innovation is creativity times execution. In fact, I like to think of creativity multiplied by execution as how you get innovation, because multiplication implies if you have a score of 0 either on creativity or on execution, you have a score of 0 on innovation. You can have a brilliant idea. If you don't know how to execute it, performance on innovation is 0. You could have no brilliant idea. Even if you know how well you can execute it, you have 0 performance on innovation. So we need both. But what I have found in companies is they over-focus on creativity and forget about execution. Yet, the real important thing is execution. In fact, Thomas Alva Edison, the greatest innovator of all time, the founder of General Electric, said it almost 100 years ago. Innovation is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. We tend to focus and over-focus on that 1% inspiration, but try to de-emphasize and forget about the 99% perspiration. And if your company is over-focusing on creative ideas and not spending as much time on innovation, reflect back for a moment as to why that is so. Part of the reason is coming up with a great idea looks very glamorous. You go into a dark room, dance, some brilliant idea comes to your mind. Sometimes coming up with idea is a lot easier. Execution is hard because execution takes a long time. It requires resources. There are some tough choices you have to make, whereas coming up with idea becomes easy. Other reason why companies de-emphasize execution is they think they are good at execution. All that they need are ideas. But the problem with that is they are good at execution in their core business. But the way you execute your core business, if you apply the same principles in executing an innovation idea, that is the surest way to fail. Another reason perhaps they de-emphasize execution is they really find they don't want to face the conflicts. Because at the time you start the execution is when you have to allocate resources. When you allocate resources to innovation versus core business, conflicts arise. There is where the tensions arise. Companies don't want to confront it. In fact, I would say execution is even more important in innovation than in your core business. Think about it this way. Your innovation is nothing more than full of assumptions. When you are coming up with an innovative idea, think about the day Apple and Steve Jobs thought of fundamentally changing the music industry with iPod. At that day, they simply had an idea, and that idea is full of unknowns, full of assumptions. They didn't understand what technologies it will take. They didn't understand whether customers will switch to their format. They didn't understand what the price point has to be. They didn't understand how they can get the music industry to cooperate with them in iTunes, etc. On the day they thought of that innovative breakthrough idea, they were facing enormous amounts of unknowns, they were just making a lot of assumptions. Whereas in your core business, you understand the core business. You fully are aware of the variables by which you are succeeding in your core business. Your core business is 95% knowledge. Innovation is 95% assumptions. The way you implement a project in innovation, execute a project in innovation where it is 95% assumption has got to be very different than the way you implement a project in core business, which is 95% knowledge. In fact, because innovation involves unknowns, execution becomes even more important. You cannot sit in an office and unravel these assumptions. For instance, AT&T in the middle 80s, they were the first company to come up with cellular telephones. They got the cellular technology figured out. and they knew how to make a cellular phone. So they wanted to assess the size of the market for cellular phones by sitting in the office. So they called in McKinsey and Company and say, give us a report on how much is the potential size of the market for cellular phones. After doing a lot of analysis, McKinsey concluded the total market size, global market size for cellular phones is you can sell about 500,000 units. Therefore, AT&T thought that was not a viable business. They closed down the shop. Now, I'm not trying to put down McKinsey. Even if you put the best minds together, you cannot predict the size of the market when you're trying to create the market. That is the nature of breakthrough innovations. The only way you can understand about those assumptions is to spend a little bit of money and try to gather knowledge about the size of the market, the technological feasibility, etc., etc. Testing assumptions is the way you do execution for an innovation. In fact, testing assumptions gives you an ability to unravel the strategy. You cannot decide the strategy up front. You have to have a learning mode, and therefore execution is the basis on which you can learn about these unknowns and thereby evolve your strategy. A couple of years ago, IBM ran an ad which really captures the importance of execution when it comes to breakthrough innovation. This ad, there was a Superman running on the street. Instead of the letter S, the Superman had the letter I. So an onlooker got a little puzzled and asked him, what does that I stand for? He says, I'm an innovation man. Oh, I see. So therefore, what does the I stand for? He said, it stands for ideation, incubation, imagination. Then the onlooker said, how about I for implementation? And he said, gee, I forgot something. You cannot forget execution when it comes to innovation. In fact, 99% of your success in innovation depends on how well you execute a breakthrough idea. In fact, my whole work in my 30 years has been revolving around this execution challenge, including my latest book, The 10 Rules for Strategic Innovators. How do you think about a disciplined way you execute an innovation project, which is fundamentally different than the way you will implement your core business?